Hey guys, it's Anthony here with Tweaktown, and I have finally built my gaming PC. I've been waiting months, probably closer to a year, to build my new gaming PC, which you can see here to my left. Until now, I've been using another PC. I had a Be Quiet Silent-based 800 chassis with a bunch of components inside, and it was good, or it was great. I love that case. It was super silent. I had a pretty decent amount of hardware in this, the same 6700K that I have in this PC, a similar motherboard, a GIGABYTE Z170X Gaming 7 motherboard, same RAM, 16 gigabytes of RAM, PCIe SSD, but I was kind of sick of it. I wanted something new, I wanted a change, and here I am. So inside of this PC, I have a GIGABYTE Z170X Designare motherboard. It has its own RGB lighting that you can see in here. I'll zoom up in a sec. Actually, I'll zoom up now so you guys can actually have a closer look at the PC. So I have the GIGABYTE Z170X Designare motherboard, an Intel Core i7-6700K. I'm going to be clocking that at about 4.7 gigahertz. It's cooled all by the Corsair H110i GTX core that you can see here. I'll take the side panel off there so you can see inside. I have the Corsair Carbide Series Air 540 chassis, which is actually really nice to build in. I'm a big fan of like super clean builds. I do not like cables going everywhere, and this is just perfect because the only cables that you can see are just down here for the actual headers to the system, for like power reset and all that kind of stuff. I have a Corsair RM1000X power supply. I don't really need anything crazy because I'm barely going to be consuming probably more than 400 watts out of this system. I have a Kingston HyperX Predator 480 gig M.2 PCIe based SSD, which is capable of doing 1.4 gigabytes a second read, 1 gig writes. So again, this system isn't the craziest, fastest system that you can buy, but this is just pretty much what I had laying around. I know that sounds pretty stupid, but unfortunately this job does come with a lot of perks. So I have the crown and jewel piece here is the NVIDIA Pascal-based Titan X. So we have the 12 gigabytes of GDDR4X. I'm just going to let GPU Boost 3.0 do its thing and let that overclock all by itself. I am running a Corsair Vengeance K95 keyboard that you can see just here, and I'm also running a Corsair Saber RGB gaming mouse. So this is my new gaming PC and I'm super psyched. This is just for now though. Pretty much just like this is what I'm doing right now, and I will be building up some new PCs going into the future. I have a bunch of new parts, but this is just what I had literally laying around last night. I had one of my friends, Chris, over, and we built this beast last night. So it's really nice. I'm addicted to like I said, the actual my clean builds. I do not like so many cables. I'm really tight with all the cable management and stuff like that. It could be a little bit better. I'm more of a perfectionist than anything. It does look nice, but the big thing that I love down the bottom, as you can see here, is that I do not have any SSDs. So I have a single 480 gig M.2 SSD that you can see plugged into the motherboard just in here, and that's it. That's the only drive that I have. I have a Google Drive account with 1 terabyte of cloud storage, which is more than enough for most of my stuff so far, but I'm going to be moving to a 10 terabyte Google Drive account probably in the next, I would say, in the next month or so, and then I'll be building a new NAS, or at least a couple of NASs. I've got 3 NASs here now, but 2 of them are lower end, and I have a higher end NAS, but I want to build like a high end NAS with 10 GBE. For people that don't know what 10 GB is, it's 10 gigabit Ethernet. Right now the motherboards have a standard of 1 gigabit Ethernet, but 10 GB can do over 1 gigabyte per second, which is just insane. So last night I was just playing around with this because my nephew had not really seen much of a PCI Express based SSD doing transfers. So I was doing transfers between this SSD and one plugged into a PCI Express slot, and I was doing a 1.4 gigabytes a second on benchmarks and stuff like that, and transfers. It's just insane. It's PCIe storage in M.2 is amazing. The normal SSDs, when they can do 500 megabytes a second, they are good, but when you see over a gigabyte a second, it really is magic. So for now, this is my gaming PC. It's gonna be my new PC probably for the next couple of months. And then I wanna build a couple of new PCs, Core i7-6950X. I wanna try and load that up with 128 gig of RAM. And I want to try and source the fastest and largest SSDs I can. So I looked at some of the SSDs that are going around, and there's like a 4 terabyte drive from Intel, which does about 5 gigabytes a second, which is just mind blowing. I can't imagine using a drive that does 5 gigabytes a second. Yeah, you can get that in 4 terabytes. And it handles about 5 gigabytes a second, which is just mind-blowing. So I really want to like put one of those in my system and then get a 10 GB NAS and then write to that thing at over 1 gigabyte a second, and hopefully trunk the network in here with multiple 10 GB cards and try and push over 2 or 3 or even 4, or hopefully close to 5 gigabytes a second. I don't need to. There's absolutely no reason to do that. But it would be awesome. That's what I'm all about. I love that kind of stuff. I want to break those speed barriers and transfer to a NAS at 3 or 4 gigabytes a second. I think that kind of stuff is pretty sick. I can't imagine doing that stuff actually benchmarking, and that's my PC. I'm going to keep this PC for a while, and then I'm going to accompany it by another PC, similar kind of hardware, but the new Core i7-6950X, between 64 and 128 gig of DDR4 RAM, and then a faster PCIe SSD. Power supplies and stuff don't really make a difference. The chassis, I'll probably go, some of them will be bigger, so for the 6950X, I'll probably use something similar to this. I really like this build because I can throw everything behind it in terms of cable management, but I will be building a smaller PC. I want to try and build the smallest PC that I can with the fastest components in it. So I'll probably go for something like, I'll probably take the 6700K out of this eventually and put it into there, or I'll buy a new CPU for that machine and again put like 16 or 32 gigabytes of RAM, M.2 SSD, and a decent graphics card like a GTX 1080 or something like that. But you can expect more builds from me like this. This is just the first one that now that I'm moving my office around, which is still a work in progress. I'm still gonna get some shelving and stuff, but I've decided that I'm gonna get, I looked at some massive shelving today that I'm gonna be buying, hopefully early next week. And I think it's about 2.2 meters wide. So I'm actually gonna have hopefully 6 displays, so 6 LCDs on that shelving, and then 3 machines below it. So that's gonna be awesome. So I wanna try and build a machine as close as I can to these specs, but in a very small PC, and then do comparisons between the bigger PC and the smaller PC, because there shouldn't be much difference between them. And then I'll build the ultimate kind of game PC with the 6950X. I'll go for the baller SSD and the RAM and stuff like that. The one addition that I am going to be doing to this PC is that I reached out to G.Skill, and G.Skill have DDR4 at 4 gigahertz now, so 4,000 megahertz. The RAM that I've got in there I think is 2666, and I did have some Kingston 2400 megahertz RAM in there, but I took that out just for the meantime, and I put the Corsair gear in there. And then my G.Skill RAM, so it's Saturday here in Australia, Saturday afternoon. My G.Skill RAM is with FedEx right now, teasing me with its notifications wherever it lands in Australia. And I received that on Monday morning. So I'm beyond site to throw that memory in and run it at 4 gig. And I will then be doing some Facebook Live videos with some live benchmarking between 2400 megahertz, and then downclocking my memory, the new 4 gigahertz memory to 3 gig, and then doing performance comparisons between, let's say, 2.4 gig, 3 gig, 3.5 gig, and 4 gig. Because there is a difference. There is a difference. People say that there's not, and there's not too much of a difference, but there is a good 15-20% there. And when you're building a machine like this, 15 to 20% is a big deal. It's a very big deal, especially when you've got a high-speed M.2 or PCIe or NVMe SSD. That difference is big. Well, that 15-20% is considerable. So I'm looking forward to that. It's only 16 gig, but I don't really need a lot of RAM, but I will be building different machines with different uses. So this machine will just be like a pure gaming machine with 16 gig of RAM where I don't need 32, 64, or 128. But then I will be building comparable machines with 64 and 128 gig. But this is just the first kind of video where it's like, hey guys, do you like what I'm doing? Do you have any input? Do you want me to do something different? And whatever your input is, believe me, I will be sending emails to Corsair, Intel, NVIDIA, every company in the industry to try and build more gaming machines like this. And then it'll be kind of cool to, you know, 1 out of every 3 or 4 systems do a giveaway. So it works both ways. The more that you guys like and share these videos, you know, again, like I've also said in all my other videos, is that I get to go and show these companies, look, you know, look at the views on this video. Like some of the videos are getting 3,000-4,000 views now average, which is really good. Thank you guys for that. I appreciate it, because for me, I can push that to advertisers and I can get this kind of gear just easily thrown at me, and then we can start organizing giveaways. This was part of my plan for next week, is to build this PC, but I've done it early, and then we'll be organizing some giveaways. So I have, everyone's like, you, Anthony, you have like 3 million video cards, you should do a giveaway. Well, that's what we're planning. Well, that's what I'm planning for next week. Again, it's Saturday here in Australia. I will probably be starting my 5-day a week, or at least 3 to 4 day a week to start with, and then when I get to 5 days a week of Facebook Live videos, and as I've always said, at about this time. So it's 12:40 in the afternoon for me here, but I'll be starting these videos probably about an hour before I've done this one, or at about this time, and then keep that time throughout the week. And I'll post the times and pin them to our Facebook page, and then you will all see the video amount, the video live times. And then as far as the giveaways, I'll come up with a system to make sure that we get enough views for the giveaway. So I'll get everyone to kind of like share them and see if we can get the shares up. The more that the reach is on the Facebook Live videos, the better for us, because then we can do massive giveaways.